Hello guys, what's up my couture crafters and quilty people out there? We are getting ready to talk about this guy right here, this holiday wreath. I loved it. This was a tutorial that I found by Shabby Fabrics. I'm obsessed with them anyway, like all their things. I'm a fan. But I wanted to see if I could do it. And theirs is a little bit smaller, and I'm one of those people who goes bigger every time. I don't know why I do that. I just want to make stuff bigger all the time. This guy was very easy to do, intuitive. It takes a little bit of time. I watched Jingle Jangle while I was doing this, which is kind of why I'm out of the frame a little bit while I'm doing it. But again, it's intuitive. Something that I wish that I had done. When you start, you know, you're kind of guesstimating where the ½ inch mark is. Start a little bit further towards the direction that you're going to finish, so that you don't have to do so many rows. I think I ended up doing I did like 9, maybe 11 rows. I did a lot of rows. I had a lot of fabric. This was done with yardage. I did mine with yardage, and I don't remember the dimensions if you can do this with a jelly roll. Yeah, I think you can do this with the jelly roll. Basically, you're folding your fabric into little triangles, and then you're pinning the triangles on here. The number one thing that they didn't tell you that I wish they had told me, but I just thank God because it worked out. Use a thimble to push in the pins, because you're using a ton of satin pins, which are the pins without that big head, just a regular stick pin without that big head on the top. Use a thimble, otherwise your finger, I don't know that you'll make it through an entire project without using something to push it in. That's one thing that I really wish they had told me. No worries though, I was ready. I had my thimble on deck. This is so pretty though. It's just layered, and it's got these beautiful pearls that I finished it with. If you guys can see, like right there, the little pearls. It's pretty. It's simple, but I think it's a little plain. It needs something like a big bow. Of course, I'm a bow girl. Always have a bow. If you see somebody in traffic and she doesn't have a bow, it's not me. I think it needs a bow. I bought this from Michael's thinking maybe I would slide this guy in here, you know, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Or maybe on front of it, I don't know. Maybe a pick, you know, oh yeah, we're going to put him on here some kind of way. It needs a little something, I think. And it might be because I just made mine larger, or the color story that I have going on here. I don't know, but I feel like it needs a little something. And so I'm going to zhuzh it up a bit, maybe put maybe those poinsettias that they have, I can clip those off and glue them on somewhere. But I really wanted to show you guys just how pretty. And again, it's super duper easy. I took this out the box for the first time. I hadn't used this before. I see people using it all the time, and I'm like, what the heck are they using that little bitty iron? That can't get hot. Not only does it get hot, it gets hot very fast. And you can also put steam in it. I don't think I will ever put water in here. I think I'm just going to use it hot. But this little guy, I sat right here and I was watching Jingle Jangle on my computer, and it took me a while to do. I think I watched Jingle Jangle like 1.5 times before I finished, but it was pleasurable. I really enjoyed making this wreath, and I think you guys should try it. So here it is again. Make sure when you're buying a box of satin pins, you want to get at least 400. I think there's ones with like 150, and I'm thankful that I bought a couple different packs. So make sure that you have at least 400 pins. You're going to use a ton of pins for this, and you'll probably have a ton of fabric left over if you did what I did, which was cut way too much. I only needed 2 strips to do a row. So don't overbuy like I did, because I had a ton of fabric that I tossed out, because you guys know I don't keep scraps. So don't do that. I needed 2 strips to do this, and mine is 16 inches. I think theirs was 12. No, mine is 14 inches. I take that back. Worst video ever, right? Like, how big is it, girl? Get your life. Oh yeah, mine is 14 inches, and theirs was 12. They have larger sizes. So for theirs, they used, I want to say like 17 around. With mine being an inch, a couple of inches bigger, I only used 1 more square than they ended up using. So don't feel like you need to buy a ton of more strips or fabric. You don't. You don't. If I were to go bigger, I would have only used, I think, 18 or 19 around. It's not a big difference. All right, guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me comments down below. Talk to me. I love to talk to everybody. Ask me questions. Whatever you want to talk about. All right. See you later. Okay, guys. Let's get into it. I have picked out some fabrics, and you can totally do this with 2.5-inch strips, but I just happen to have holiday yardage. And isn't it beautiful? I want to say this is a Hoffman Fabrics collection, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But it's pretty. And we're going to chop it up. And the way that I picked out this yardage was by looking at the density and the majority of the color that you see in the strips. So this color right here, once I chop it up, will read primarily red. And the other one to the right will read, more white. Then there's one that's going to read gray and white, so on and so forth. So this is a bit of pattern mixing, right in front of you. And they make it really easy when they drop these collections because most of their stuff goes with itself. So you really don't have to worry about that. So I cut down 2.5-inch strips. This is just one strip. I'm just showing you how to do it. And I'm getting 2 pieces from each piece that I cut. You only need, for a size 14-inch wreath, mine was 14, you only need 18 pieces to go all the way around one time. So I went ahead and cut way too many strips. God forbid I had measured initially, but I didn't. So, oh well, I cut way too many and I have a ton left over. Well, I had a ton left over, but you know what I did with them. Don't judge me. So here we're going to just cut off the salvage. I had a couple of strips left over. I wish I had had more. I could have had way more strips left over, but I forgive myself. So I'm going to wrap this foam circle here. Again, my foam circle is 14 inches. I got it from Joann's. I believe they have some larger ones too. The best thing to remember about this is that you want to use a thimble when you are pushing in these pins. They will hurt your fingers. I don't care how tough and rough your fingers are. If you're going to do a full one of these in one sitting, have a thimble because it's difficult to push these little satin pins in. And again, make sure you have enough satin pins to do the job. You're going to need more than their little 150 satin pin box. The Mighty Steam Iron. This is the first time that I've opened it. Whenever I see quilting videos, I see people using this little thing, and I just didn't have high hopes for it being a very good iron. It's little. I don't know. It looks little, and it's fairly inexpensive. It was like 25, 30 bucks, and I think I was able to use a coupon on it. You guys, that iron is just amazing. I am so impressed with how hot it gets and how convenient. No wonder people take it to their quilting retreats and stuff. I get it now. I'm part of the crew. So what you do is fold the square in half and then bring it to a point and fold it down so that the corners meet at the center there, and then just iron it. It's just that simple. Now we're going to take them and we're going to pin them all around the fabric colored wreath. I wish that I had started a little bit closer to the left. So I've got the thing pointing and it's pointing into the back. I wish I had started just a little bit further to the left. I would have done probably 1 or 2 less rows. Now I have all the fabric in the world there. That's not the issue. It's just where you kind of see it starting. So you want to, you can move it up a little bit. Mine came out fine. It's just a little tweak that I would have done. And I'm trying to line them up pretty much point to point. You're going to use the exact same amount of squares all the way around for each row. They just start to overlap at some point, but you're going to use the exact same amount. So I think I used 18. You're going to use 18 for each row. This is fairly intuitive. It's not rocket science or anything. It's actually just monotonous work. So if you want to relax and chill and hang out, this is the kind of thing that I enjoy doing. Something that doesn't require a ton of thought, but it's just the exact same thing over and over again. I relax like this. This doesn't bother me. So it wasn't difficult. I think I watched Jingle Jangle twice. So it takes you a little bit of time, but it's not something you should be rushing through. This is something you should be enjoying. So then for the next row, you just go in between your triangles. And you're just going to do that all the way around. Now, I was paying a little bit more attention to the movie at this point than I was filming, so I'm clearly off camera. But again, it's intuitive. You'll figure it out. And I will link the video that taught me how to do this. It's by Shabby Fabrics, of course. And they have a much more clear, probably, video than what I'm doing here, especially at this point. But you're just going to go in between the triangles. And again, it's intuitive. And you see that I'm going a little bit further, like maybe 1/4 of an inch in, not massively in, because you want a nice layered look. But we're just going to go around. I think I did 11 rows. And on Shabby Fabrics, they had a 12-inch round, and they did 9 rows. And I could have actually done another row. So to finish it, I grabbed some glitter ribbon, and I chose to line it on the inside. Now, you could have done fabric with this. You can do anything. It's up to you. When using styrofoam, most times you want to use a low temperature heat gun, but low temperature heat gun did not want to work with this layered fabric, so I had to grab a real gun. I didn't have any problem with the styrofoam melting, and that's the Old Faithful glue gun. That glue gun's been around for 25 years, I think, if not more. And apparently I was eating tacos at the time. Look, there's taco sauce on my workstation. I did not realize that until just now. And I also like glitter ribbon because it's super forgiving when you get to the back to layering it. Look, you can't even see the seam. I appreciate that about glitter. It's the only thing I appreciate. You'll also see that I have a Swiffer right there. Swiffers clean up glitter better than anything else I've tried. So suck it up with your little mini vacuums and then hit it with the Swiffer, and usually your glitter will come up. I am not a fan of glitter, but when you have to use it, have a Swiffer around. So I took 2 satin pins and just cut a ribbon piece to hang it. And I used a little glue and the satin pins, and it's kind of tucked under. So the weight will be, evenly distributed back there. And so for a finishing touch, I grabbed these pearl head pins and I stuck them in because, as you can see, the little points tend to want to stand up. So we're just going to put these back and adorn the wreath a bit. And I think I'm going to add some flowers and a big bow to this wreath because it still needs a little something. It's a little plain for me. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys made it through my 8 videos, shout out to you. Leave me comments. Tell me how you enjoyed it. Tell me if you tried it. All right, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.